Hello, new AVLI teacher. This is Nick. I am here today to talk about the wonderful world of Moodle activities and resources. Now, I've been using Moodle on and off for well over a decade, pretty close to probably 13, 14 years, both at AVLI, but also my school in St. Louis where I've taught has gone back and forth between Moodle and other LMS systems. And so the one good thing is that if you've used an LMS before, which I think most schools probably do, particularly if you already have a computer platform or even a one-to-one program, it works pretty well in going back and forth between different LMSs and then Moodle, because Moodle was one of the first and is open source, so it incorporates a lot of the same activities. And in fact, Moodle being open source made it so that it's really simple for them to add new activities and resources. So my goal today is to show you some of the more basic ones, but I do think that the sort of palette of activities and resources on Moodle is richer than in a lot of other LMS systems, but that can be a double-edged sword because it can be a little confusing as to which one, what activity does what resource does what. So what I want to show you today is the difference between activities and resources first, but also just kind of how to do a couple of the basic ones so that you can get going right away in your class, and then sort of what to do if you're looking to experiment with some of the other ones. My original goal, I remember when I was first teaching on Moodle, as a way to make sure that I was varying the types of activities I was asking the kids to do, was to try to use every single Moodle activity that was available. And at that time there were like 10, right, or 12, and now it obviously is way beyond that. So let's take a look here at a course that I created over the summer. This is a just-in-time course. So this is a type of course that is good for professional development, but not exactly for AVLI students, because this is the type of class that you kind of set and forget. You make the class how it goes from the beginning to the end, and then the taker of the course, in this case, would start and continue on as they saw fit, and the administrator of the course, the facilitator of the course's job is to go in and just give feedback as they do it. So this is kind of not the model of course we would use, but this will work perfectly for showing off Moodle. Okay, so what you initially have to do here, that can be confusing and is a little clunky, even if you're signed in as a teacher, what you'll get is the same view that the students get. What you need to do is to go here to turn editing on. Okay, so it's way down here. Here's navigation. You have to slide all the way down to administration, and you go to turn editing on, and this will only be an option for the administrator of the course or administrators. Okay, so once you turn editing on, now you get all of your options within the different topics. So you can organize your topics however you want. I typically do it by unit, like if this would be unit 1, and then here would be the assignments, and then unit 2 would be down here. As you can see, this is kind of the way that I did this with this just-in-time course. And so at the bottom of each subsection or topic, you get something that says add activity or resource. Okay, and this is kind of the basis of Moodle here. So when you click add activity or resource, you're going to get a lot of possibilities here. This is all, but what I want to show you is the difference between activities and resources. So activities is something that you're asking the student to do something. You are giving information, of course, but ultimately it is on the student to access this and then complete the assignment, which I think basically it does different types of assignments, I would probably suggest. And then the resources would be things that you are showing them. Okay, things that they are accessing but do not have an assignment or an activity attached that they actually do. All right, so let's look at some of these activities. And you can see, obviously, we're way more than 10 or 12 that used to be. And a lot of these are great. Like if you even look down at podcast, virtual programming, these are things that get a little involved here. But even the lesson is really rich if you find yourself going down that path. Also, H5P, which I believe will take a totally separate video, and the glossary, which I think is a cool tool for students as well, but can also be done with the wiki. But let's look at what you would do here. Like, let's say you really want to get into figure out how to do this podcast one. The first thing you want to do is click on this here for information, and you get a nice little page about exactly what this does. Okay, and so the first step is to read that, and then and then the first thing I do is to actually go and kind of experiment with it. However, if you are interested in using one of these as you get a little bit more adept with Moodle, a YouTube video, they have YouTube videos on all of them, but also to experiment with it yourself or contact one of the AVLI administrators, all who can help you with that. Like I said, I want to show you just a couple of the basic ones. So let's look at assignment. Let's go to activities. Let's look at assignment first. Okay, so assignment, when you click on assignment, this is your most basic Moodle activity. You name your assignment here. All the things in red you have to put down. So let's say I want to call this test assignment, just so that when we go back out, you can see where this pops up. And then the description here is test assignment 1. All right, now you can, of course, call this whatever you want, and you can be much more in depth with the description here as well. Now, all you're allowing the students to do, maybe you put your directions up here. Okay, and the students can, like I'm an English teacher, and so maybe the directions are to answer a question that you have put up here. And so here, the question is down here, and the students would get the option of either typing it into a text box, which would appear on their page, or they can do it on a Word document and drag and drop the file here. All right, and then you put the time that you're willing to allow the submission, the due date, the cutoff date, and even a grade reminder. But you can also turn these off if you're someone like me and accepts late work. You can put the date that you are allowing the submissions from, but maybe you turn off the due date. I don't know. That's up to you. And then you get all sorts of activities, options down here that are great. So I would recommend putting online text and file submissions both, because online text allows them to type right into a text box, which some kids prefer, and then file submissions allow them to type it into a Word document and then drag and drop, which also some kids prefer. Here you can put a word limit if you're trying to keep, maybe you're doing an exercise where they need to keep it under 200 words, or you're doing a 6-word story and literally 6 is the number of words or something like that, but you don't have to do that. And then this is the number of files per student. It might be that you're asking them to, maybe if you're doing rough drafts, maybe they do have to put in 3, and so you want to make sure that they have the opportunity to put in 3, but also it kind of doesn't matter if they're only doing 1. If you leave it at 20, that's not something you necessarily need to mess with. You get your feedback types here. Again, these are things that you don't really need to mess with. Really what you're looking for here is grade, and you want to put in the maximum grade, like the number of points this is worth. So I'm going to make this worth 10. You're going to choose between our 2 types of grading here, which is another video, and whether or not you want to mark blindly, which is just whether it shows their name when you do it. And that is roughly what you are going to want to take care of before you submit this. There's some other options here that get a little bit more in depth than this video. You save and return to course, and you can see here what happens. Now, here's our test assignment, and it always puts it at the bottom of the topic that you put it in. But let's say I want my test assignment to be up. Since I've got the editing on, I can drag this activity up here, like that. Okay, I can make it here, etc. And this show that you can just drag it to the spot where you want it. And then when you turn editing off, it will be there for the student with the due date on there for the student to look at. Okay, now that's the same for all the assignments, and they all are going to look that way with a little symbol off to the left about what kind of activity it is. Okay, so you can see that these are assignments. We've got an H5P, a link, etc., a forum. All right, and so when we do activity or resource here, now we're going to look at another one. We've got activities and resource. Let's look at quiz, because quiz is another big one. We hit on quiz here, and you type in your name of your quiz. Whoop. Description if you need a description, and then again, this gives you an option to, I think this is especially good in AVLI where the kids will not be in a classroom necessarily. You might want to put a time limit on it so that the students can like have a little bit of urgency when they're doing this and are not necessarily tempted to look elsewhere for answers. And then it's especially important in quizzes is to click on review options, because you do want the students to have the feedback, and for whatever reason the default option is that it does not give the feedback. So you want to switch these immediately after the attempt. You want to switch to whether correct and right answer. So this is the stuff that they will get right afterward. Or if you don't want them to get that right afterward, you need to switch it to later while the quiz is still open, that you put these here, so that at some point while after the students have taken the quiz, they have the option of actually seeing what they got without just having to look in the book. You want them to be able to see, okay, here was the question I got wrong, and this was the correct possibility there. Okay, now when we save and return to the course, we'll have our quiz there. All right, and we are going to click on the quiz now. And we go to edit quiz, and now we get all of our question types that we would choose. So you choose add over here, add a new question, and oh my God, look at all these questions. You got multiple choice, true and false, matching, etc. Let's just look at multiple choice. It's an easy one. Or essay is just where it gives them an open text box to answer the question. Okay, but multiple choice, you add the multiple choice. We type in the name of the question, like question 1 you want right here. So we'll type in Q1. I am going to put in test here, and then you have your answer choices here. All right, and so this would be answer A, this would be answer B, this would be answer C. Now you have to make sure you put down that you want one of them to get full credit, or else it'll make you do that afterward. And then you also can give half credit or 2/3 credit for something like that. Okay, now when I save changes, that question is on the quiz. And when I go back out to the main page here and I look at the quiz, it'll give me an option. You can actually look and take a preview quiz here, and you'll see what it looks like. Start attempt, and you can see this is what it looks like for the students. So they've got their clock here, the number here. I know that the answer is A, finish attempt, and then you can see what they get. Submit all and finish, and it tells you this is what they see afterwards. So of course you could put in a bunch of questions there of all different types and give the students a really rich opportunity. All right, now before I finish here, I want to take a minute to look at these resources, because the resources, you put them up the same way, but a file would be some sort of picture or document that you have on your computer locally that you would like the students to be able to download. Whereas a page would be something you would create from the ground up. It would give you a page like a text box for you to type in, add pictures, and when you post that, the students would click on that and they would see what that was. Okay, and so you can see this one is a page. When I click on this was entirely original right here. This is something that I wrote. Okay, but if I do something like the URL like this, it's going to take me to a link that I have posted to somewhere else. Okay, so these are some basic options and the difference between resources and activities. Hope this helps, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.